There we go. Okay, so I want to welcome everybody out to the February German gig. And we've got a great presentation on German maps. And the important thing about German maps is, once you figure out where your ancestors came from, you have to figure out where those towns are. And with boundary changes and name changes over time, those things get to be a little difficult. So I am going to share my screen and get ready for the presentation here. Okay, everybody see the slide?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. Okay, so we're going to talk about using German maps and gazetteers for genealogy. And when we look at this, when we talk about Germany, the German Empire was unified in 1873. Before that, there were up to 38 different German states and free cities. And you'll see over time, those boundaries changed pretty fluidly. There weren't really established boundaries. A lot of times it happened to be, who was in charge, who was the duke, or who was the king of an area, who they married, did they take over an area with the marriage? So it isn't a really solid location when you start looking at these. And these states spent hundreds of years fighting over boundaries, and the towns changed possessions and sometimes changed names. One of the things you want to think about is when you hear the name of your town, what do parts of these mean? So your town might have a Bach or Beck, and that indicates stream, or Berg, meaning mountain, or B-U-R-G, indicating fort, or Bull, meaning hill. Dorf is a village, house and Feld, and Rhoda as forest. Those are the sort of things that you would be seeing in your towns. For example, Dusseldorf, okay? Dorf being the village. A friend of mine, her family comes from Sneckenberg, and so that means Snail Mountain, okay? So you're going to see those sort of common suffixes within the towns, and it gives you an idea of some of the information you might be looking for. If it says Berg or stream or back, you're looking for a geographic feature. You may find prefixes such as alt or gross or new or klein, meaning old, greater, new, and little. You may find a town named Newkirchen. There are lots of towns named Newkirchen, and that indicates a new church. So they placed a church there, a town grew up around it. That was the new church. That town is Newkirchen. And because of these naming practices, you're going to find many locations having identical or similar names. So there comes the question, that says they came from Newkirchen. Well, where was that? In what state was that located? For example, there's 92 places in present-day Germany named Steinbach. So if you go to Meyers Gazetteer's website and you put in Steinbach, you're going to get 108 locations and 24 places where Steinbach is part of the name. So which of those is the right one? And the pronunciation of many German locations is difficult. So we, generally have an English word for the German word for the location. So, everybody knows Deutschland is Germany. But in some cases, you may have an ancestor who said they were Deutsch. And the record keeper says, oh, they're from Holland. No, they may have been, probably German. So that might have been a mistake in the record keeper's line. But you'll see things like Pfalz or Schlesien, and these other towns or locations, and you're like, I can't find that. Where is that? So you need to know the English version of some of these words also in order to find them on maps today. And the borders changed frequently, as I said, as different areas were conquered. You see these borders change. So you see Prussia, this large blue area, covering most of Eastern Germany. all the way into Poland and Lithuania. You see Bohemia, Austria, Österreich down here, Württemberg. You see Baden up here. Well, Baden and Württemberg merged, so then you have Baden-Württemberg later on. So you see all of these different areas, these smaller little states in here. There are a lot of those that merged on a regular basis also. There's Hanover, so getting a general idea of the time period that you're looking at. And this is about 1851 in this scene here. So how do you find the place names? Well, I always tell people, one place you want to look is Family Search Wiki. And they have a whole story about German place names and finding German place names in documents on the wiki. So you want to read through that and see what kind of information that provides, and that may help you out. And then there's CompGen and Family Search Places. We'll go through the CompGen and Family Search Places website at the end of the meeting, or at the end of the presentation here. But both of these give you the ability to look up a place and see what it was previously named and what it's currently named. There's also this great book. This is the German list of German names and native spellings for thousands of towns. It was published in 1931, so it's still under copyright. So you may be able to get this in a library and look it up, but this is going to list the towns and information about those towns. It's a 3-volume set. So after World War I and World War II, the German territories went to, all over the place. Some of them went to France, Poland, Lithuania, Czechoslovakia, many other countries ceded those locations. So again, if somebody says they were born in Germany or somebody says they were born in Prussia, you might want to look in adjacent countries for the information on where those towns may be. And when they changed over to these new countries, the locations, the names of the towns changed also. So for example, Breslau, Germany became Wrocław, Poland, or Alsace-Lorraine. When that transferred over to the French, it became Haut-Rhine, Bas-Rhine, and Mosul, the 3 states in France. And the names of the towns changed also. Some of them are similar, but they've switched from the German spelling to a French spelling. So you're going to find these sort of changes as you go through your research. There's a web page called Kartenmeister.com, and this gives you the German place names. It's from the 1918 boundaries, so that's good. Most of our ancestors were in Germany at that point in time. So you're able to find those German place names as they were spelled in 1918. Nearly 100,000 locations had at least one name change. So 5,500 places had more than 2, or had 2 or more name changes. And, some of them have up to 15 name changes in 10 different variants. So those may be different countries, different languages. So this is where you have to be, aware of where they are. So you get to German, Polish, Russian, and Lithuanian equivalents. Those are going to be different as each of those countries took over that area. So. And if you have a place name that's Ponen or Loken or Wethen, all of these different endings for these towns, those are going to indicate that they're East Prussian. So, there are no towns in the rest of the German territories that have those names, those additions on their names. Or places like with ending in F-I-E-R, those are going to be found in Brandenburg and no place else. Or Elguth, those are in Silesia. So you're going to find these portions of town names only in specific states. So, you're looking up a location, you don't want to be looking in the wrong state because you're not going to find those towns and those locations. So here is a video. I'm hoping this works. And it goes for 2 minutes. But what I want to show you is after the rulers here. can see how these territories change over time. I'm going to turn off the music if you heard that.
Yeah, it's loud.
It's a little loud. But what you're seeing here, gives you an idea of the time period and what state your town may belong to. So, as I said, they're pretty fluid. You're looking at 1 year jumps, maybe 20-year jumps in some cases. So
wow.
Play through. And see, prior to World War II, you see all of the yellow. And then now we go back to post-World War II. And then you'll see the combining of East and West Germany. So you see how frequently these borders change. And this is what's going to lead to confusion while you're running looking for your
yes.
nations. So when you look at these maps, you'll see those changing political boundaries over time, but you're also going to see things like the travel paths. Either are they water routes, roads, trails, rail? How do they get between locations? Take that into consideration because, when we look at some of these towns, it may say that there's no church in that town, but there's a church, 1 mile to the east and 2 miles to the west. And you're like, well, why didn't they go to the one that's 1 mile to the east? Well, maybe there's a river there. Maybe there's a mountain there. Maybe there's some sort of no trail between those two towns that they would have used. And the one going to the east, to the other direction might have been easier to access. So all of these geographic features and the topography influence the settlement patterns and how people, went from town to town. So there's some books with great German maps that are helpful for genealogists, and you can probably find some of these books in different libraries. I've listed like the lands of German Empire and before. You can find that in the Brevard County Library in Cocoa. Map Guide to German Parish Registers. I put those in there because the last time I did this talk was in Cocoa, so I wanted to make sure people knew that they had access to those. But you can see that the German maps and facts for genealogy is available at the Indian River County Library. And this other one down at the bottom, Family Tree Historical Map Book, is Orange County in Orlando. So you can look up these books and find where they are. I don't know if everybody's used WorldCat, but you can type in the title of a book in WorldCat and it'll tell you where that book is housed, what libraries are close to you that have it. Meyers Gazetteer, this is probably the map for German territories. This is published in 1912, so it has that largest extent of the German Empire. So you have a large number of towns, 210,000 cities, towns, hamlets, and villages are listed here. And we'll go through and do a demonstration of Meyers Gazetteer in just a little bit. You have the text version of the book, and that text version is also available on Ancestry's website. So you can actually view the text there. But the Meyers Gazetteer website gives you the text information for the town. It also provides you the map and tells you where the nearest churches are. And so a lot more information that you can access very quickly on the website. So this is an example here. I just put in the town of Schildesch in Westfalen, Prussia. And you can see down at the bottom, the map gives you a pin locating where it is. Up here in the top left portion of it, it has the text description of the town. And then on the right-hand side, it basically breaks down that information into the different areas. So you see that it's, level 1's Prussia, the province, Westfalen. And you can see the definitions of what an RB, LKR, those things are down below. So, You see level 1 PR. Level 1 shows which kingdom or state the place is located in, the province. So it gives you those information. So it helps you out finding that. But you see at the top, it has a map. It has the historic map of the location showing all of the surrounding towns and geographic areas. The ecclesiastical gives you the locations of the Catholic, the Protestant, and the Jewish churches and synagogues. Related, you can actually link into this page and say that you have information related to that town. You can provide your email address so people can access, can email you later if you're interested in providing that. So here's the town. I just looked up Christfeld in West Prussia. And you can see this is the type of map on the left-hand side that they give you. So you can see the town, you can see the roadways, the pathways, the other towns in the area, and you zoom in and you can see the buildings along here, the forests and geographic features. You can toggle off the historical map, and then you see an existing Google map with the town. And you can't quite see it, but Christfeld is now a Polish town, and it's Chrzastowko.
Wow.
So, you know, you look at Dunkershof up top, and that's Gebersau. You know, so you can see these different towns. Barkowal is Barkfeld. So, you know, be aware that the names you're seeing here, you have to figure out the names they are currently. And you can do that if you just toggle off the historical map. There's also the Ravenstein Atlas. This is the Atlas of the German Empire. This is from 1871 to 1914. They have some colored maps here. You can download this as a PDF. The link I provided is for the University of Wisconsin edition of it. And when you go in, this is what the page looks like. And you can search the full text or browse the atlas to get into it. It has an index. You have to go back to the index page, and it'll tell you, you know, the town you're looking for is on page G or page 4, section G2. And so you go to page 4, you then go to G, you go across until you get to 2, and your town should be in that location. And this is the way the images look. So it's page by page, and you can see them and zoom in on them individually to find the information you're looking for.
Mm.
And we'll pull up that in more detail. I think I have it pulled up for afterwards.
Did he get that?
Another one is the David Rumsey Map Collection. And this one here has over 75,000 maps that they use. And many of these maps are geo-referenced. So you can actually see these maps overlaying Google Earth. And you can see what the area looks like today and what it looked like historically. And for Germany, they have over 5,000 maps for Germany. So this is really great because you can put in the location you're looking for, and it gives you all of the maps that have that location listed on it. And so then you can pick the time frame of the map you're looking for, the style of the map, and then you can zoom into those pages and get more information. If you look over on the left-hand side, you know, you have atlas maps, world atlas, land use, pictorial maps, you know, Germany, Poland, individual states within Germany, the authors of the maps, and then the time frames. So you can pull up 1881 or 1906, 1905, you know, whatever time frame your map is, and you can narrow down your search to pick those and show those on the screen. There are other map sources that are out there also. There's Map Room, which is historic atlas collection. Tacitus is a boundary maps. HathiTrust. HathiTrust is a book collection. So it's basically an online digital book library, but they have a large number of historic atlases there. Google Books, again, you know, online digital library. You can pull up historical atlases on there also. The Library of Congress has a historic map collection you can access. And then Family Search Wiki, you can look up Germany Gazetteers, and you can see a list of the Gazetteers that are available online. There's some very creative maps that are out there. This is a book called Geographical Fun. And what they did was this is back in 1868, but the book is later than that. I have to look at it, see what it is. But what they did was they took every one of the European countries and created a person out of it. Whether it's a woman, in this case, Prussia is illustrated as a military, 2 military soldiers. Scotland is a guy with a bagpipes and a kilt. So it's a neat little way that they were doing this, and it was built for fun so that children could learn their maps a little bit better, I guess. And every country has a little poem underneath it talking about the characteristic of that country and how it's exhibited by the person that is used to illustrate it. So we're going to go through and we're going to look at some of these web pages and show you how they can assist you. And I'm assuming you can see the web page, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Family Search Research Places. So familysearch.org/research/pages. And the great thing about this is that it will tell you all of the names that a town was known as. So I'm going to go back to the maps that we were using previously, and I want to pull up where I had the one name of the town. Let's see. I don't remember where I had it. There it is. So I'm going to pick Breslau. And I'm going to go in here and I want to type that in. And now you see all of these different names. Okay. Now they're all over the world. So here's one in Pennsylvania. Here's one in Nebraska. Here's one in Texas. Here's one in South Africa. Here's one, so here's one in Germany. Okay. So I'm going to click on the one in Germany. And it's going to zoom in. So now here is Breslau, Silesia, Prussia. This is the town we were looking at. And you look at it, it has basic town information. Okay. Now it's written in German because they're using the Wikipedia, and the Wikipedia page is written in German. But as I mentioned previously, you can go up here to your translate button and translate it to English.
Nice.
Okay. So now we've got the translation in English. We get our latitude and longitude. We get research links. So now we get to see stories. There's a Wikipedia, there's History Pin, there's what there. So these are other websites that talk about it. And then we go to alternate names. And now you can see the alternate names that this town is known as. So you can see Wrocław, the Polish name for the town today, Wrocławska, and so on. So now you're able to say, okay, now if I'm looking for a record for Breslau, I actually want to look in the town Wrocław in Poland, because that's where the German records will still be in that town, because they didn't take the records away when they left. Poland just, continued access to those records. You can see the display names, and then down below you have different citations that were used to gather this information. So it's very helpful. You can zoom in on the map and see more detail about it. And again, this is the actually, let's see, where'd the town go? It's over here today. The town of Wrocław is over here. So it's a little bit of distance away from that location. But, this is probably just, the map is probably in the wrong spot. And notice it says 1813 to 1945. So after 1845, it became Poland. And that's when the name changed. If I go to Wrocław, now you see it says 1999 to today. But if I go down below, it tells me at one time it was a Czech town. So it still has the same towns. It has the German name right here, but it also has some additional names that they used previously also. So good way to do and so this is written in Polish now. And again, if I click on this and say translate page, it's going to change that Polish to English, hopefully. I may have to go tell it to do that. There it is. Translate to English. Yeah, I may have it set to German to start with, so I might not want to do it right now. Okay. So that is that's a great tool for finding your information right there on the family search /research /places. Now we can go to the CompGen page, GOV, and do the same thing. We can put Breslau in there and hit search. And now it's going to tell me there are, places in the United States and places in Germany. But you can see Wroclaw is listed here as a place. And if I zoom in on Germany, you can see that it's down here in the southwestern corner of Poland. And you can see there's some different variations of where it's located based on different maps and so on. As we zoom in. So like different maps may have it in different locations, or a specific record might have it in a different location. But you can see as I click on it, it goes to that location down here. So I'm going to click back on this one here, and you see it pulls it up. And now I can click on that information, and now I get the information about the town, and it's basically subordinate subjects, which means it's Prussian, it's the state, it's the location. So it sort of breaks it out geographically a little bit. Let's see. And it gives you the sources for the information, so you can go back to the sources on it, and it gives you the location here. So I can pull this up in Google Maps. I can pull it up in MapQuest, whatever I want to see that town location. Okay, so when you go to the CompGen website, that's actually genealogy.net. And up top it has GOV, and that's going to be your historical gazetteer. Notice also things in here such as address books, tombstones, memorial cards, World War I casualty lists, the meta search for everything. There are Orts family books up here, local heritage books, magazines. So there's a lot of other things that you can get in genealogy.net, but we're just talking about the place name stuff right now. So the GOV page will give you that information. So we're going to do the same thing with Meyers Gazetteer. We're going to put the same town in there. And this is Meyers Gazetteer, or meyersgaz.org. And you can see there's one location, Breslau, Schlesien, Prussia. If it doesn't pull up, you can always put sounds like, and it's going to have towns that sound like Breslau or have similar sounds, spellings. But we're going to go right to Breslau. And again, here's that description of the town. And here it is broken out by category. Okay, so it's telling me that Breslau is a Standkreis, or a city within the state government office. So this one here is where the civil records were stored. It's a state government office location. So you're going to be able to find your church duplicate books in this location, potentially your city censuses or population registers, and other government documents. See, the level 1 is the kingdom. So this is telling me that it's in Prussia. And then you keep going down, it's in Schlesien. And, we get down to things like the military districts, the church districts, the court districts, and so on. So here is the Catholic Church district. There's 24 Catholic churches within this area. There's 18 evangelical or Protestant churches. There are 10 synagogues. And then one unaffiliated church. So a lot of information there provided on this page. Basically, that's what all of this German is saying. And we go to ecclesiastical. You can now see in Breslau 24 churches, 18 Protestant churches, 10 synagogues, and one other. And then you can see the surrounding towns around it and how far those towns are from it. So your family may have gone to the church in Breslau, but maybe they were living in Altashkin or something like that. So you're going to see that, you'll find other towns in the area that might be where your family moved back and forth from. Here are related references. So again, you can click on these and get more information. Here are these individuals are interested in contacts from people that have families within Breslau. So here are the surnames. So if you want to add your name and your family comes from this area, you type in your surname, your email, and now you're on this list. And people can say, oh, I have Baruch, so I'm going to contact this person here and send them an email. And don't worry that it has all these little things in it. When you click on it, it's going to open up a thing to send an email, or it should, depending on how your computer's set up. But if you have any of these surnames, you'll want to go back here and see that information. Okay. So now we're going to go over to, let me get a better link here. That link's not the right one. So the University of Wisconsin, their search area, you've got a lot of other things that you can search. There's a lot of German things in this library. Whoops. Gotta do that again. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is the Ravenstein Atlas here. And you want to view the item. There go my parrots, just in case anybody's wondering. So you see here, this is the table of contents. And so at the end of it is your index, and you can look up a town if you want to look up a town at the end. But I'm just going to go to one of the maps, and you can see the maps here. And I can zoom in on this map up there, or zoom in on this map on the right-hand side with that map. And I can then zoom into it and see the towns.
That's great.
So, you've gone through, and the index, maybe your index says it's on this page, and it is, I'm going to go H7. So H7 is right here. We just use the grid markers just like you would on any other map, that us old people know how to use. And you're now there in H7, and now you can find it. So you can see like the churches locations here. You can see the towns locations. You can see some of the trails that are there and some of the land features that are there, the hills and lakes and things. So another good resource, gives you, another map to utilize while you're doing your research. The colored boundaries are the state boundaries. So you can see that, there's a really small state right here.
Yeah.
There's another smaller one. Well, actually it's a little larger. There's a couple little small ones down here. Small individual independent cities. So, another good resource to use for the maps. And I'm gonna go back over here and grab this one. Okay. And then you have David Rumsey's map collection. And, these maps are from all over the world, but you can go up here and search. I'm going to try to find a map with Breslau in it and see if we get one. And there we go. So we got a limited number of maps. Looks like 43. So here, this is a 1935 school atlas. And let's see, what do the areas mean? I don't know. This looks like a military map to me. So you can see that, Prussia in 1850, Deutschland in 1919.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is probably a military map used by the school kids. I'm going to go back. So this one here is North German Lowlands, and then the Principality of Breslau. Let up here. This is 1740.
Oh, wow.
So, you can see the information here. Now up top, it has view in georeferencer. So if I click on that button, what it's going to do is it's overlaying this map on top of Google Maps. And what I want is the image. So I have the image of the map. I have the 2D. I don't think we can do 3D on this one. Yeah. So there's the map here, overlaying the current location. So you can see it. And I'm going to click on the overlay and compare. And what this allows me to do is up here, this map, this slider bar, it allows me to fade in and fade out of the map.
Huh.
So I can see what's underneath it and what's above it. And I'm going to change the base map. So we have multiple different base maps. I'm going to go to a satellite image. And now you see the map. I'm going to zoom in on a specific location of the map here. And there's Breslau right in the middle. And I'm going to zoom out. And now you can see today's satellite image.
Huh. Pretty good.
You can also add more maps to this, so you can have multiple layering of these maps. And you can do this yourself. If you find a map, you can actually go into Google Maps or Google Earth, and you can import that image of a map and overlay it over the real world. So you can do that with your own maps and fade in and fade out of the image. But they've done it with most of their 75,000 maps here, 5,000 plus German maps that you can utilize. Let's see, wanted to, and I just wanted to show you guys the fun maps here real quick while we're online. So you can see here is Scotland, for example.
Oh,
There's England. There's Wales.
That's great.
Ireland. France. Spain and Portugal. Italy. Prussia. There's Germany. Holland and Belgium. I like the little one right here.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the little one, I just noticed, looks like it's got a cigar or cigarette. There's Denmark and Russia. So, like I said, it's just a fun way to look at the maps from, what was the 1868, I guess it is. So.
yeah. Now, how do I get on that again?
So all of those are in the presentation.
Geographic.
Yeah.
Got it.
So you can just grab the presentation off the link I sent out earlier in the presentation, and you can see all of these different links that we've just been visiting.
Thank you.
So how many of you use maps on a fairly regular basis to see, did these two families live close to each other? They got married in the United States, but were they, in close towns in Germany when they were living there, or were they really far apart and they just happened to meet when they got here, or any other, purposes that you might find for maps?
No.
No.
No, I should, but I haven't.
I use maps all the time when I'm doing my research. I'll show you, let me pull up one more page here, and I'm gonna, let's see, get to the page here before I share it. Oops, wrong page. There we go. Okay, so I want to share this one again. We've talked about church records before, but this is matricula. And in matricula, you can hit the little map and You can type in your town, and I'm sure this one won't be there, but we'll try it anyway. Whoops. Breslau, Poland. There we go. So I can zoom in on the location. Let's notice it's the right place. And I can click on these. Notice the pop-ups? Those are the churches.
Oh,
Okay. So this is Elizabeth, and this is Bernharden. So this is the name of the two churches. Now, if your town that you're researching comes up on Matriculate, and I did not include this on your links, but it is on my church records presentation, and we can pull that up later. But it's Matricula. And you want to go Matricula German church records when you do a Google search to get it. If I click on this link, I now have the church records books from 1812 to 1906.
wow.
And these are the Tauf books. Who knows what Tauf books are?
A birth, I think, wasn't it?
Baptism.
Baptism. See? Baptismal registers. If I click on that, I'm just going to pick a page. Let's see. So there we go. So now you've got, this is the baptism record for 1812. And this is 6 February, 7 February. And you can see all of the children that were born, their parents' names, their godparents' names, and so on. I use this very regularly. I mean, I'll go through and just go page by page, pulling up names. But you can also go back to the church record. And some of these will have indexes at the back. Let's see if we have, so you get funerals, marriages, baptismal registers, and so on. And some of them have, indexes at the back. You can search for the names you're looking for. Others, you just have to go in and find the year that you're looking for and start searching. You notice that it gives you a map here, like a Google map sort of thing, street map, but it also pulls up the historic map of the location, and you can zoom in on that a little bit. And it'll,
Ask a question?
Yep.
What are you clicking on to get it to translate to English?
Oh, Google Chrome has a translate button. So you can go to the Chrome apps and look up Google Translate, and that will then add that to your toolbar. And so whenever you're on a page with, the text, the text in the record doesn't translate, but the page itself that you're looking at will translate to English, or I can go back to, show original and go back to the German.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is Matricula German. What was the
Matricula German church records.
church records? Thank you.
Yeah, if you search that in Google, you will get Family Search has some links to it, and then it's like the third one down, you actually get to Matricula itself.
Thank you.
So the other thing with that is, you can go right to the map, and all of these numbers are the churches. So you can actually zoom in on a location and just click on the church from there if you know the location where your family was from, and then go right to those church records. Notice there's some gaps in here. There's a big gap right here.
Yeah.
That,
Wow.
that could be one of two reasons. The one reason is that they haven't gone through and gotten those records yet. And the other reason is they could be Protestant. So over here in Karlsruhe, there are no Catholic churches. This was a Protestant region. This is where my wife's family's from. And so all of her records are on Archeon, which is the Protestant church records. And that is a pay site. Matricula, the Catholic church records are all free. And they are continually adding new church records to this database on a weekly basis. The other thing is you'll notice that there's some all the way down here in, Bosnia and Hungary and Austria, Czechoslovakia, Belgium, Holland. So it's not just Germany, but it's the German territories that, that were previously there. Very few over here in Poland so far, but there are a few, that they've gotten out of Poland.
Mhm. Oh, there is a few, yeah.
So another great source for, if you have German or ancestors who lived in German territories and were Catholic. Okay. Did you guys get some good resources there?
Yes, it gave a little push to do something. Thank you. Little encouragement.
Yeah. So next week, that's where we are. Let me just post this. Next month, our topic next month is German church records. So we're going to be exploring Matricula and Archeon,
Okay.
church records there, and show you some of the resources there. I currently don't have an account on Archeon. I usually just call the company owner and say, hey, I'm demonstrating Archeon. Do you want to give me a free day? And he does.
Nice.
I met him at Roots Tech a couple of years ago. He was over from Germany, and we hit it off. And so he's been good about doing that for me. I'll just have to ask him again. Gives me a one-day pass.
That's great.
Okay. So were there any of those resources that we looked at that you want me to go into a little more in-depth on? We've got a few minutes. We're just coming up on an hour now. Or do you want to go in and look at the presentation that I gave? I've got the link up there. You can go in and try those links out on your own and see how that works for you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I have, my grandfather came from Werdau, which is near Zwickau.
Okay.
In fact, that's just west of the eastern border of Czechoslovakia, and that it's Saxony.
Uh-huh.
Saxon. And I got a pedigree chart recently that has some of my relatives from that line, the Fickenworth line, but it's Eichler, Eichler, and the birthplace is in Glaston, Glasten, which evidently is near Leipzig.
Okay.
And also a Kotterzich, Kotterzsch. That's also near Leipzig. I haven't seen either of those places anywhere, whether they're near Werdau or Zwickau. What if you could find those just on a quick look?
Yeah. So how is Werdau spelled?
Werdau.
Okay.
It's just west of Zwickau. ZWI.
Right. Okay. So I found there. Okay. So I found that one. And what was the other town that you were looking for?
Let's see. It was Glaston, Glasten.
Okay, let me just do a quick search here. Yeah, that is next to near Leipzig.
Bad Lausig.
Yeah, so it's southeast of Leipzig on that one. It doesn't look like those two are close together.
Kotterich or something.
Yeah. So Glaston has always been named Glaston.
Okay.
So it hasn't had name change. We'll look at Werdau again and check to see if it's had a name change. Yeah, Werdau has always been Werdau. It had a name Hartzmanndorf at one time, but that was a part of it. Yeah, I mean, they're not extremely far away from each other. They're probably, let me see. Let me do a quick. And yeah, they're about 70 kilometers apart.
40 miles, huh?
Yeah.
No, that's not too far away at all.
Yeah, I'll share that real quick here. So yeah, you can see Verdau's down here, and then Glaston is up top, and as it says, is about 60, 68, 69 kilometers. So yeah,
Okay.
it's not extremely far, but generally that's not within walking distance.
Especially in those days, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
These are in the 1750s.
right. Yeah, it'd be a little odd to have them that far apart. Now, if you go and if they were Catholic, and you went in and let's see if Verdau has church records available.
Well, they have in the Evangelical Lutheran Church.
Yeah, that's where you're going to find them in.
I've got, I have quite a few records that they put together for me.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm just going to go over to here, and so there's your town right there. And yeah, as you said, ecclesiastical, you see Protestant. There are no Catholic churches anywhere. There's your first Catholic church in Grice. There's another one in Skolmon. So there's not a whole lot of Catholic churches in that area.
Okay.
A lot of Protestant churches, though.
Yeah, thank you, Miles.
Yeah. Let's check Grestow. Whoops, I spelled that wrong, didn't I? Let's see. Glaston. I gotta spell it right. And so yeah, if you look at this one, again, highly Protestant location. There's a Catholic church 5 miles away. But yeah, highly Protestant, and that's why you're not finding anything on these maps in this location. So
Okay.
okay. Any other questions? So now everybody's going to go out, do their maps. I mean, definitely use Google Maps also, and see how far apart different towns are. See if it's reasonable that they may have been, moving between these towns, and, see what sort of landscape they were looking at. The old historic maps will tell you where there's nice forests, big lakes, that sort of thing. And some of them will even designate where the fields are located, so you can see property boundaries on some of those older maps. So
Thank you.
So you recorded today's session, right?
it is recording. Yes. And
How do we get to that again?
so what I'll do is I send the link to Mike over at IRGS, and then he posts it. And in the members section,
Okay.
once you log in, you can go to the gigs and look up under German gig, and you'll see the links to all of the presentations that we've done so far this year.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording.